2019 is only a couple months old. We haven't given it a name yet. So how about the year of the woke billionaire? Sit back and watch as the Democratic presidential candidates simultaneously jockey to establish the most left-wing possible credentials and at the very same time feverishly suck up to the super rich to fund their campaigns. We've seen some of this before. Tom Steyer and George Soros, those are the obvious examples. But there are many, many, many more. On Saturday, just this past Saturday, coming Saturday rather, Senator Cory Booker is attending a Silicon Valley fundraiser. It's hosted by Gary and Laura Lauder. They're heirs to the $14 billion Estee Lauder fortune. Kamala Harris just had a fundraiser in Beverly Hills that was attended by an army of wealthy studio execs. Kirsten Gillibrand didn't even start her campaign for president before asking the permission of Wall Street. So what's the message? Rich people are highly progressive now. And you can see why. They love mass immigration. It brings them servants. They support federally mandated snobbery masquerading as environmentalism. Abortion is essentially a sacrament to them, especially when practiced in poor neighborhoods. But here's the confusing part. These are, by definition, affluent people, and yet increasingly, confiscatory tax rates are a rallying cry for the Democratic Party. So why are billionaires so eager to back candidates who want to seize their assets to fund new entitlements? This is confusing. Here's one reason. Billionaires understand that they will never have to pay those taxes. Why? Because the top federal income tax rate stops at about $500,000. So what's the difference between someone making $500,000 a year and someone making $50 million a year? The answer? The richer one can much more easily evade paying full freight, and they do. This group makes far more of their money on capital gains, which are taxed at only half the rate of your salary, and some of it's not even taxed at all. Under the 2017 tax law, investments in federally designated opportunity zones evade capital gains taxes entirely. One such opportunity zone, by the way, is right by the Army-Navy Country Club in Arlington, Virginia, one of America's richest zip codes. But even on their official tax returns, even on income, the richest Americans are paying less. According to the IRS, the top 1% of Americans pay about 27% of their income in taxes. But the top 10th of 1%, that's people who make $35 million a year, pay less than 26%. And the top 1,000th of a percent, the absolute richest, pay less than 24%. In other words, past a certain point, the richer you are, the less you pay. That's why billionaires back socialism. It doesn't cost them much. Dana Perino hosts the Daily Briefing with Dana Perino. She's also coming on later in the show on Final Exam with Greg Gutfeld. But for now, Dana, you're going to get him. I'm rooting for you, as you know.
Thank you.
Don't tell him. There is this really interesting dynamic where the party, the Democratic Party, is becoming openly socialist in some cases, but certainly embracing economic populism, but it's still funded by the richest segment of our society. How does that work?
It is pretty interesting. And actually, to have Bernie Sanders launch his campaign in the week after basically another fellow Democratic socialist chased Amazon out of New York City, it put Bernie Sanders to the left of Mayor de Blasio and Governor Cuomo. It's not easy to do that. In some ways, I feel like Bernie has been a victim of his own success. He has won this war without even firing a shot. In 2016, he basically said, this is what I'm going to be for. He ran unabashedly on it, and he had a lot of support. And I think if the Democrats hadn't rigged their primary, he might have actually been the nominee. Perhaps good for him that he wasn't, because then he had time to let these ideas percolate. Do you think there would be an Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez in 2020 or 2019 if there had not been a Bernie Sanders in 2016?
No, it's a good point.
Absolutely not. And also, the other thing you have is you have Democratic candidates like Kamala Harris and Elizabeth Warren both taking great pains this week to say that they are not socialists. They are capitalists, and they have to explain it. But you have to ask yourself, is it a distinction without a difference? If you are talking about free health care for all, free college for all, unabashedly bashing the financial institutions, and promising lots of things that are going to look like a socialist country, that is why the Democrats find themselves already in February of 2019 on the losing end of a debate with Donald Trump.
Are they, we're almost out of time, but I'm just interested, since you're steeped in the numbers, are they going to lose that debate? I mean, they'll lose it as far as I'm concerned, but is the public on the side of capitalism or socialism? Sincere question.
Well, I actually think that Karl Rove has talked about this for a while, and he's right. If younger people in America say that they more align with socialism, we should take them seriously. Just this week, Tucker, we found that most people in America could not pass a basic citizenship test that immigrants have to take in order to get a chance to live here in America. So we have a lot of making up to do, but I do think that the country is still a center-right country, but conservatives, capitalists, people who do not want socialism have to try to make a very good case for it, because Bernie Sanders has a grassroots organization across the country willing to send him $25 over and over and over again. That makes a big difference. They're not just going to big donors and billionaires to get funding, even though they do that too. They have support all across the country, and people should take that very seriously.
Yeah, they should take it. I couldn't agree more. There's a reason people feel that way. Dana Perino, it's great to see you, as always. We're going to see you in just a minute.
Okay.